In this video, we're going to be looking at a Soroban smart contract, which implements a call option using XLM and USDC tokens. I'm going to start by explaining what options are and how they work, and why DeFi derivatives are important to the space. Then we'll dive into some code and look at how this contract is put together, before finally testing and deploying it to the network. Options are a type of financial derivative. They're based on an underlying asset. This could be gold, Bitcoin, GameStop. It doesn't matter. It basically gives the buyer of the contract the option to either buy or sell the underlying asset at a certain price. And there's two types of options. There's call options, which is the option to buy at a specific price, and a put option, which is the option to sell at a specific price. So with a call option, for example, it gives the buyer the option but not obligation to buy the asset at a set price before the expiry date. In our contract, the actual underlying asset is held as a digital token within the contract itself, whereas in traditional finance, the underlying asset rarely moves. It's always settled based in USDC. So if someone buys a Tesla call option where they can buy Tesla at $1,000 and it goes up to $1,100, they can exercise that option, and usually it's settled by the seller paying the buyer $100. It's basically a way to get leverage into a trade, but also introduces this time decay factor where the option becomes less valuable the less time there is left before expiry. We saw options trading gain mainstream adoption with the GameStop saga. People were buying call options on GameStop and it sent the price sky high. And that's something I think we might see in the future in decentralized finance, just because smart contracts are so well suited to creating financial derivatives. And that's something we'll see in this contract. All the code for this is on GitHub. If you search Soroban call option, it should come up, or there's a link in the description. So if we go to the contract flow, first of all, we can see the first step is that the seller locks XLM collateral and sets the parameters. The buyer then pays a premium in USDC to acquire the option rights. At any point before the expiry, then the buyer can exercise that option to purchase the underlying XLM. And if he doesn't exercise the option, then the option expires and the underlying asset is returned to the seller. Let's dive into the code to see how that works. If we go into contracts, source, got two files here, lib.rs, which is the main Soroban smart contract, and test.rs, which is the unit tests. Let's go into lib.rs. I'm going to actually open this up in VS Code just because it's a little bit tidier. All right, so we're starting off, we're getting rid of the standard library to make it more efficient. We're importing the Soroban SDK, pretty standard. And then we've got this SEP41 token client. This is the same crate that's used in the latest Blend protocol code. And it's used as a token client to interact with fungible tokens, SEP41 tokens on Soroban. We then got some hard-coded variables here. If this was in a production environment, you want to actually set these up in the sell option so you could have kind of one contract to handle multiple options. But for simplicity's sake, we just set these up as hard-coded in the contract itself. So we've got the amount of XLM, we're selling one XLM or set up an option for one XLM. We've got a strike price of 50 cents. This includes the 6 decimal places, which are included in USDC contracts. So 500,000, then a premium of 100,000. So these are just arbitrary numbers. You shouldn't read anything into them. They're the first numbers that popped into my head and they have no bearing on the price or valuation of the XLM token. To purchase this option, the buyer will need to have to pay the premium. That will give him the rights to exercise at a later date. Then if he wants to exercise the option, he'll have to pay the strike price, and that will release the XLM, which is held within the contract, to his wallet. So once the contract is deployed, you have this sell option function. I had a little bit of an issue with this, where this is originally a constructor argument, but the issue was that you don't know the contract address, so you can't approve the spend of the tokens prior to calling it. So we'll deploy it first, and then we'll call this separately from the seller's wallet. So the seller passes in a seller address and the token addresses for the underlying asset and the USDC contract address for the stable coin. We're then checking to make sure that this hasn't been sold already, so there's no kind of vulnerability where it could be overwritten. We're then setting persistent storage variables for seller, a Boolean true or false for purchased, and the contract addresses for the underlying asset and a stablecoin. Then finally, we're transferring from the seller's account to the contract address the amount in XLM. So the contract is going to hold that XLM within the contract until expiry date or the option is exercised. Once that's set up, anyone can come along and purchase the option. So they pass in their buyer's address. We check that it hasn't been purchased already. We check that it hasn't expired already. and then we transfer from the buyer's wallet USDC. So the buyer needs to approve the contract to take this USDC. One interesting caveat is that the USDC is transferred directly to the seller. There's no need for the contract itself to hold that. That premium is paid to the seller, so they can have that straight away. Finally, we set some persistent storage variables for the buyer's address, and purchase now equals true. Now, if the buyer wants to exercise their option, they can then at any time before the expiry date in 2026, they can go ahead and call exercise. They pass in their buyer's address. In this case, we call an exerciser, and we're checking that it's actually the same person. So we're checking the exerciser is the person that invokes the contract call. We're checking the option hasn't expired. We're checking it's been purchased, sorry. And then we're checking that the buyer equals the exerciser. So we've already got this buyer variable, which is why we call it exerciser here. So if it's not, then it comes up with an error saying it's not your option. We're then setting up the seller, XLM, and USDC contract addresses and user seller's address. And we're going to transfer from the buyer's wallet the USDC for the strike price. So the buyer is paying the strike price to get the XLM held within the contract. So they're transferring the strike price at 50 cents. And then we're transferring from the contract address the XLM to the buyer. We're then setting the storage purchase back to false. Now, if the option is not exercised by the expiry date, the contract still holds the XLM, so we need to get that back to the seller, the XLM address, and we're transferring directly from the contract to the seller the total amount in XLM. So if the option isn't exercised, then they can go ahead and get their funds back. Now let's have a quick look at the unit test, because there's a couple of interesting things in this. So we're setting up the SEP41 token. So that token crate also comes with a mock token client, which is really useful for moving tokens about. If we go into setup, we can create this token contract. This is code that I've copy and pasted in. And we've got this mock token client new, and we're then initializing it. And then what we can do is we can call mock XLM mint seller. We can just pass through a massive variable here, which I've called loads. We can do the same for USDC, so that the seller has lots of XLM and the buyer has lots of USDC for testing. I'm going to call this setup function on every test. It just kind of keeps the code really nice and clean and makes it easy to work with and create new tests. The other interesting thing in these unit tests is the ledger here. We're importing test utils ledger. And what that allows us to do, if we scroll down, is move the blockchain forwards. So here you can see we're using m.ledger with mode, which is mutability, and we're moving the timestamp to beyond the expiry date. So this is a little bit of code here is the equivalent of a time machine for our unit tests. We can move the blockchain forwards to simulate an environment where the option has expired, and we can then test the expiry function. So let's go ahead and run these tests. So we can run cargo test. If you want to deploy these contracts yourself on testnet, you can do. You'd need Rust installed at rust-lang.org. And then you'd also need a version of the Soroban client. So we've got a couple of depreciation warnings, which I'm not massively worried about. And then we've got 6 tests all running okay. Now let's compile the contract to WebAssembly. So we're going to run cargo build and then set the target to wasm32. Make that a release build. And we've got a bunch of errors here. So let's have a quick look. Okay, so this is referencing the test suite. So this is a simple fix. We can simply comment out the test suite while we are building the contract. Let's clear this and try again. There we go, we've got a optimized target. Now we can deploy it to testnet using Stellar contract deploy, use the flag WebAssembly, and then set the target to the Soro cool.wasm file that we just built. Set the source to your account. You can create one of these using the Stellar Keys tool, and then click Network Testnet. We're signing a transaction. We're simulating the install. Submit it to the network. That'll be propagated around the decentralized network. And what we should end up with is a contract address. And there we go, CCH4. Let's have a quick look at this in Stellar Expert. Copy the contract address here. Open up Stellar Expert, paste that in. Set it to testnet. And here's our contract. Hope you enjoyed this video. All the code you've seen here is open source on GitHub. There's a full tutorial on my blog, and there's a bunch of resources if you want to learn more about building on Soroban, linked to in the description. Thank you for watching.